thanks everyone for coming. I think we'll do like a quick go round of the staff, and we've got a couple of alumni, we've got an employer, we've got a student in the program who are all going to share with you quickly perspective. So I think before, I'm going to give a presentation first to, kind of set things up. But before we do that, I thought we'd just do a super quick go around of the speaker's name, title, whatever you want to say quickly. So I'm Melissa Aronson. I'm the director of the Communication Design Certificate Program at MassArt. Brenna, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Brenna. I help market the certificate programs and continuing education classes.
Jackie?
Oh, I'm the director of continued education. Hello.
Eric?
Joe.
Hi, my name is Eric, and I am a current student.
Lindsay? I'm just going around the, my view.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Lindsay Hill. I'm principal and creative director of Lindsay Hill Design. We're an award-winning branding firm. We offer creative solutions to every brand touch point. We work with Fortune 500s to startups and everything in between.
Thanks. Joe?
Hey everyone, Joe Doucette. I'm the person in charge of admissions for all the certificate programs. So if you're going through your application and have questions about the app, the admissions process, or anything having to do with the admissions for the certificate that you're applying for, I'm the guy to find.
Thank you. Alex?
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Barbosa. I teach intermediate typography, and I'm also a contract designer working for a couple of studios here in Boston.
Thank you. Alicia?
Hi, I'm Alicia. I finished the program in 2021, I guess, and I'm currently the designer for brand and marketing for WS Development.
Thank you. Teresita?
Hi, I'm Teresita Olson. I'm a graduate of the program. I graduated in 2019. I'm currently a freelance graphic designer based in Southern New Hampshire, and I'm also an instructor in the program.
Great. Thank you very much. So the agenda for tonight is for us to use the time until 6:30-ish to give you various perspectives on the program from the different people who just introduced. And then from 6:30 to 7, we'll have Q&A. So my presentation will be 5 minutes, and then each of our speakers will have just like 2.5 minutes to kind of quickly tell you this story. And while each person is speaking, I ask them to send me, 3 images, could be images of their work, images of their life, that I'll just kind of flash on the screen while they're talking. So first up is me. I am the director of the Continuing Ed MassArt Communication Design Certificate Program. And let me just cue up my visuals, and then I will share the screen and tell you more. Okay. All right. All right. So since I've asked our alumni, faculty, student, and employer participants to tell you briefly their stories, I thought I'd tell you more about the program in the context of my story, since I myself am actually a graduate of this program. Like many people who joined this program, I found myself after college working in a job that I liked, but it wasn't like I had a real passion for a career. As an English major, it just kind of fell into doing marketing. Didn't really love it, but when the company that I was working for hired a graphic designer to design a logo and some marketing materials for us, I thought, this could be the thing. I think I could really love doing this. So I took the designer out to lunch and asked her a lot of questions, including, how could I prepare for this career? And that was the first time I heard about this program, the Communication Design Certificate, then called Graphic Design Certificate. She also gave me the names of other designers that she knew for me to talk to. And in speaking with them and asking them a lot of questions, the name of this program kept coming up. Either they'd seen portfolios from program grads that really impressed them, or they'd worked with the designers who had graduated from this program. So that was the first thing that caught my attention about this program was it was being recommended by real world professional designers. When I looked into the program, there were several things I really liked about it. These are still true. Part-time program with classes held evenings, some weekends, so I didn't have to quit my job. It's affordable because you only take 1 or 2 classes per semester. You pay as you go, and as a public college, the tuition is much less than courses at comparable institutions. The program is geared towards working adults, focusing on real-world professional design skills for job and career, but also on creativity and what makes each person's work unique and memorable. You can test out the program by taking the first 1 or 2 courses in the program sequence before you apply to the program. You don't need an extensive background in art in order to start the program. Just a basic observational drawing course and basics of some of the Adobe software. And many people get jobs that include doing some design work while they're still in the program before they actually finish. So those were all things that really, really appealed to me. And so I applied to the program and got started. My experience in the program was great. Some of the best aspects were meeting like-minded people, other students who shared my interests and goals, and just a supportive and really fun community of students. Great teachers, many of whom are professional designers and have connections in the professional design world. I built a portfolio of work that impressed potential employers, that enabled me entry into the professional design world before I even finished the program. And overall, it was just great preparation for working in professional design and a great launching pad for jobs and freelance work. A few years later, after I finished the program, I was working as a designer and was then contacted by the head of the program and offered the opportunity to teach, which eventually led to my being hired to run the program part-time, which was a fantastic mix with working out of my home as a freelance designer and design business owner. Meanwhile, many years later, still here, my experience as a student still informs my approach to running the program, which puts student experience and student outcomes first. Working closely with our staff, our expert faculty, we have an on-staff professional and design careers mentor, our alumni and other professional designers who serve as portfolio reviewers, guest presenters, guest critics. I'm committed to ensuring all the strengths I found as a student in the program are maintained while we continue to evolve the program to keep up with rapid changes in the design profession and in the technology that affects us all. One of the key changes that we've made recently is making our program into an online program, which increases accessibility to the program. And we found we can still do effectively maintaining the strong relationship building and enjoyable personal interactions that are really important to students, not to mention keeping up the high quality of student work. We introduced level 1 and level 2 certificates into the program. Previously, there was just 1 certificate at the end of the entire program sequence. That's now level 3. You do not need to know how far you plan to go or how far you might go. When you start the program sequence, you can decide as you go along. You only have to apply once, when you start the program. And we also simplified the application to level 1 to make it really, really accessible and super quick and easy to do so that, people find out about the program, they know they want to enroll. You don't need to take a long time to pull stuff together. You can, apply right away and get started. So that's what I have to say. And thanks for listening and for being here. And I'm going to introduce Alicia. So Alicia, take away. And I'm going to queue up your presentation while you're getting started.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Like I said, I'm a former student. I graduated in, I guess, 2021. And, you know, I decided to take the program because I was in my early 30s. I had been working in the restaurant industry for a long, long time. You know, I had gone to Mass Art as an undergrad. It's my cat. For painting and printmaking. And I always had graphic design sort of in my back pocket, just doing work for like my friends, doing stuff in the music industry, you know, like skate shop flyers, like whatever kind of fun projects that I could get my hands on. But I never even thought that I could do it professionally. And then a staff member from Mass Art recommended the program, and you know, I totally fell in love with it and dove in headfirst for sure. You know, I think a big thing is you get out what you put in for sure. You know, I got really into it and then just started like completely engulfing myself in all the design stuff I could. I started job hunting almost immediately. I had all sorts of interviews that I had no business being in, but whatever, it like got me further into the industry and eventually, you know, worked my way up. And so now I work for WS Development. I did previously work for Lindsay. I should also mention that she's the best. But so I work for WS Development, which all of these pictures are pulled from that, since I thought it would be kind of fun. We do so many different things. It's a real estate development firm, which sounds super boring, but it's not. We do all sorts of event activations, artist collabs, as you can see here, the Iris stuff. We do these huge campaigns all over the country. You might, if you're local in Boston, you might know, you're familiar with the Seaport neighborhood. Anytime you see any kind of art activation, art installation, mural, anything like that, it's probably WS. So I get to touch on a lot of different aspects of design through this job, whether it be digital or print, or, you know, I had billboards, and this crazy project for Iris was down in Palm Beach, and you know, it's a big celebrity collaboration. Like, we get to do a lot of things. We get to do a lot of different branding projects and working within branding, and get to go all over the country to kind of pull different design aspects from different properties and blah, blah, blah. It's super fun. And it's an interesting look into how many different ways you can do design for sure.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. Alex?
Sorry, I was muted. Hey everyone, I'm Alex Barbosa. I teach intermediate typography. I'm a Mass Art alum. I did the undergrad program and graduated in 2012. I got my start working in luxury hospitality, so a lot of restaurants, hotels, real estate projects. And currently I'm a contract designer, so I work for Zipcar and a couple of other companies, but I teach intermediate typography. I love teaching this course because my students get a run through of creating strong concepts for their projects, which are a cookbook in a type designer exhibition. So we start off with a really strong concept, and then we move into making this idea come true using typography, using photographs, using just graphic elements. It's my favorite part about teaching this course is that I get to always ask questions like, does this relate to your concept? Like, how can we push your concept forward? The typographic choices. So we have a lot of fun in my course. And I use my background working in branding and hospitality as a strong jumping off point, because every decision we make, it's based off of this one big idea. So that's what kind of my course touches upon. But we really hone in on using typography in larger systems, as in a cookbook. So there's many different levels of typography there, and also a type designer exhibition, which is what my class is working on now, where you're creating this look and feel for an exhibition, applying it to a booklet, then an exhibition wall, then digital ads. So In my course, I like to bring in the real world stuff that I work in. As you guys can see that there are digital ads up on your screen now and display banners and social stuff. But I like bringing in what I'm actively working on as a design professional into the course. It's because I like to keep it fresh. But that is my spiel.
Thank you, Alex. Okay. Next is Eric.
Hey everyone, my name is Eric. Like I said, I am a current student. I am in level 2 of the program, taking typography 2 and user design. I, similar to Alicia, just always kind of did it on the side for friends, local businesses. Always had, love for it, but just never really took that leap. And I am currently in construction, and I'm just not that well, they're my 2 little boys. See, I chose the worst time to go back to school. It was last June. Oliver, I think, was like a year and a half, and now we have a 6-month-old Noah. But I honestly am just grateful that this program exists. A good friend of mine that graduated from the 4-year program recommended it, and I didn't look back. It is completely, I feel, catered to someone like myself. Even though you can, and it's really cool that you can just go in and take a class or maybe even just a few of them. I think they're super catered to what your work, like what you want to get from it. And like Alicia said too, you get what you put in. But I love the structure. Sometimes it is tough with the balance of working full-time in Boston and having 2 little kids, but I think that it's definitely doable. And the projects are extremely fun to work on. It really pushes your limits. But I've enjoyed everything thus far. Yeah, the only challenge for me is just that balance and being critical about my work and sometimes wishing I had more time, but that's just me being, wanting something perfect. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Thanks a lot, Eric.
You're welcome.
Okay, Teresita.
Hi, everyone. My name is Teresita Olson. I graduated the program in 2019. I came to MassArt and to the graphic design program as a second career. I had a long career in marketing, and I just made the conscious effort to go move towards something more creative. As a marketer, I worked with a lot of design agencies, and as a marketer, you're dealing with a lot of the strategies, but there was always a point that I had to kind of transfer the project off to the creative team. So, and I just wanted to continue to be part of it. So that's what really drove me to the program. This picture here is kind of the studio, the future studio all the way to the left. I'm really excited about that. I also do some letterpress as well. So I have a couple of presses that are going into this new home. And then obviously my office where the sausage is made, the design sausage is made, is also going to move out there. So it's really going to be nice to have this creative space. If you go to the next slide. So as I'd mentioned, as a freelance graphic designer, I work directly with clients. This is a sample of some of the identities that I've worked with. Right now, I'm currently working with 2 kind of hospitality groups. That's kind of where my bread and butter kind of really lie. And it's a lot of fun, but it's very, very dynamic and it changes. And I've been working with them throughout during COVID. So it was really kind of immersed into just being really, agile in terms of what the hospitality group needs. And I think that coming from MassArt and being able to touch different aspects of design, be it digital and print, it really had taught me to kind of turn things around very quickly and also just be very adept across other different touch points that your client will likely ask you for. If you go to the next slide. So this is kind of a sample. So I do some interior work, also working with some of their branding in the actual space, your typical collateral, and also menu design as well. I think one of the things that MassArt has taught me is really to kind of think at a very high level and really strong conceptually. And that's what we cover in the class that I teach, which is Graphic Design 1, is really trying to develop techniques and processes to get to that concept. And a concept is just that big idea, but it is an important aspect as a designer, because with a great concept, a lot of your design decisions are kind of rooted into that, and your decisions are kind of based on that. So we go into kind of your traditional mind mapping, some techniques, but I also encourage you to get outside of the digital box. So we do a lot of analog experimentation and kind of getting away from the desk and really kind of spurring up these ideas.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Lindsay, you're up.
Okay, forgot to unmute. Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay Hill again from Lindsay Hill Design. I think I'm the only person here, except for you guests tonight, that did not graduate from the program. But I have been involved with the program for longer than I can remember. I've actually been in the design world also for longer than most of you guys have probably been alive, no joke. Dating myself here a little bit. Back at the beginning, I grew up with my father, who was an architect, who proceeded to talk me out of becoming an architect in college, even though I was a math major and an art minor. And I thought I'd be a shoo-in fantastic architect. And he's like, don't do it, the program's too long, do something different. So I heeded his advice, and to this day, I'm kind of kicking myself because I still do love math and art. I'm 50-50 smack in the middle of left and right brained. But I grew up with my mom and my grandmother as well, who are fine artists. So it's kind of in my blood. I've had art in my blood the whole time. And I went to college and didn't really study graphic design except for the fine arts that I just mentioned. Came out of the program at University of New Hampshire and got my first job down here in Boston, working at the World Trade Center for the CFO, balancing the checkbook. So talk about honor for you guys, but for somebody who likes numbers, it was actually exciting for me. But within the first 2 years, he saw my desire. I was constantly taking courses. I was taking course after course. I'm going to completely date myself now. What's it called? Quark Express, which is now in design. And I was just self-educating myself. And my boss, who was a mentor of mine, which I highly recommend every single one of you gets a mentor to help you through this whole process. He sat me down and said, I'm not getting rid of you, but I really feel that you should move on and get a career, like, go for this career that you have a strong desire for. So I did. And one of my very first employees way back when was Alyssa. She was my first full-time employee. So I've owned Lindsay Hill Design for literally, I would say 3 decades, if not a little bit longer. I've been involved with the Mass Art program for longer than I can remember, literally, but I've been involved in various capacities. I'm a portfolio review panelist. I'm a guest lecturer. I'm a professional mentor. I'm a guest teacher for a handful of workshops. One of Alyssa's Design 101 workshops I led a few years ago. I used to teach a class called Freelancers Workshop that's no longer around. And then Alyssa and I co-taught a really fun workshop at the Fidelity to the UX department design group a couple of years ago, which was fantastic. But one of the things I take the most pride in enjoying is that I actually employ a lot of the students and graduates of the program. Alicia, of course, being one of them right down there. And a handful more. Alyssa, could you even guess? Maybe 15, 20? A lot.
Yeah, I mean, you always seem to have a couple.
Yeah,
or
I'm
at
working
least
with 3 right
2
now.
working for you, and maybe one who's kind of coming in and out as a freelancer.
Yeah, I've got 3 freelancers right now. I'm working with Rob Sergel, Chris Santoro is working on a website with me, and Pam. I'm still in touch with Pam a little bit. But
Yeah.
anyway, what that comes back down to, you guys, is that when I do the portfolio review panels, I pick the cream of the crop students and ask them if they're interested in coming to work for me as a freelancer. Typically, they start working while they're in school, and then oftentimes they'll stay for a couple of years and they'll be with me after they graduate. And at that point, they might be getting anxious and they want to go to a larger agency, which is completely understandable. And I've done, serious hands-on training in real world client projects. They hit the ground running and they are working with clients and actually doing client interaction and interface. But I will then at that point, when they're ready to move on, I will make introductions to all the agency people that I know, which is a lot. And I get the next cream of the crop students come in and work with me. So that was a really well-greased wheel until COVID. And then Alicia and I and a couple of students kept working together during COVID. And then I merged my firm with a marketing firm and worked there for 2 years, but I'm back on my own now. I'm super happy. I'm always interested in fresh freelance support. I think that the Mass Art Graduate Certificate Program is hands down my favorite in the city of Boston. It's my go-to program. I have worked with students from Leslie and from Northeastern and from Bunker Hill Community College. I support all of those institutions, but without a doubt, Mass Art is my go-to program. It's because the students take things very seriously. I mean, you guys, you're considering going to a graduate program, right? The other schools are undergraduate.
Well, it's not technically a graduate program,
Okay, but okay, that's true.
but
But
they're, we're adults. Most of them are.
exactly,
most
and
people
all of
are
the ones I would say,
older than 18.
yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, Alyssa, but I would say the vast majority of freelancers or students / graduates that I've hired have an undergraduate degree. Again, it's not pertinent or necessary, but the fact that that's the case, it shows that you guys are dedicated, you're committed, you're doing this. A lot of the students are actually paying for this on their own, not their parents paying for them, right? There's a big difference there. And that speaks loud and clear, speaks, wonders to me. It shows that the students want to be doing what they're doing. They're not forced into it. They're eager. You're excited to learn. And that's going to go back on my touch points I want to talk about is what I'm looking for in the students that I hire or the graduates that I hire is a desire to learn, as well as a desire to apply knowledge and creativity. I'm looking for someone who has a very strong attention to detail that can work at a clip, a fast pace, but is very holistic at the same time. I learned in the marketing world for 2 years during COVID that was working at such a fast clip that a lot of the holistic structures and thought processes that I have instilled in my agency and in my staff was being surpassed. And that's not what I ever want you guys to do. I want you to really, as many of the speakers have already said, think big picture, think really deep, think clearly about the intention of all of the work you're putting into your program. Have curiosity. Don't get bored. Look around you every day and be willing to be a team player. Alyssa asked if there are any words of wisdom for students considering the program. I just wrote down, just understand that you will need to work hard, yet that your hard work will absolutely pay off. I guarantee it.
All right, thank you so much. That is our speakers. So before we open, right, I didn't forget anyone, did I? Sometimes I do. Before we open up to questions, I just want to give Joe a minute to talk a little bit about application deadlines and sort of stuff like that, which people always have questions about. So Joe, you have some things you want to tell people?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Those were great presentations. Thanks to all the presenters. Great to see all of everybody's work and see what happens in the CDC program. For those of you interested in applying, I'm going to just drop a link in the chat real quick, which is the link to our page on the website. And at the bottom of that is the button where you can apply or you can start your application or finish it. A couple of important things about the CDC app. As Alyssa mentioned, there are levels to the program. Most people will apply to level 1. And what that means is beginning level program. So you're starting from scratch, essentially. And for that application, what's required is just to fill out the application, you need a resume and you'll need a statement of purpose. We require college credits or the equivalent in life experience for your application. So it's 60 college credits. If you have transcripts, we'll need those on the application as well, especially if you're planning to go on to level 2. So you don't necessarily need the transcripts for level 1. You can get away with the basic application materials. But if you're planning to go on to levels 2 and 3, we're going to need them at some point. So if you have them and you want to upload them to your app while applying for level 1, it'll save you the trouble of having to do it later. And a couple other things in terms of the deadlines. The first is that for this application period from February to June 15th, you're able to apply for 2 semesters. So you'd have to choose one. to start in the fall or to start in the summer. To start in the summer, you'll need to apply by April 15th, which is quickly coming up. So if you're planning to do that, please be sure to get your app in by that deadline. It's a soft deadline, but you will notice on the app that after April 15th, the option to apply for summer will disappear, which doesn't mean we couldn't get you in for summer if you put it in by the 16th and sent me an email saying, I really want to apply for summer. Can I still do it? Sure, you can, but try to keep that deadline in mind. It does take us a little bit of time to onboard students, and the summer classes start at the end of May. The June 15th is for start in September. It's a little looser, a little more time to get your stuff in. So that's about it for the app. I will put my email in here. If you have questions for me, feel free to send me an email.
Thanks, Joe. All right, I think we're ready for questions. Anything anyone wants to ask? I just want to mention while people are thinking or typing, thank you to everyone who spoke. Alex and Eric had to take off because their class starts, their classes start tonight at 6:30. But if you do have questions that you want to address specifically to one of them, just let us know, and we can forward the question to them and give us your email address. We'll, have them get back to you on it. Okay, so yeah, questions.
I'll just ask a super, maybe technical question in terms of transcripts. It's been a long time since I had my undergrad transcript. I have a master's degree as well. So do you like request those, or you know what I mean? Like, do I have to like go back to my, I went to Emerson and got my master's degree from Emerson, but like, would I go to Emerson and get my master's degree transcript, or do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. So get whichever one is easiest. If you have you obviously have an undergrad degree and a master's, we don't need both.
Okay.
One or the other, whichever is easiest. A lot of colleges nowadays will have an online portal where you can just go and request the transcripts, and many of them are delivered virtually. So if there's an option to do that, feel free to email them directly to me.
okay.
And I will add them to your application.
Oh, that makes it easy. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it should
that.
it should be easy. I just want to, reiterate that you're not required to have any college credits for level 1, but it's just easier to, process, because you roll in from level 1 into level 2 very quickly. So if you can, at least order your transcripts to come to us when you're, applying to level 1, it's just a good idea. For levels 2 and 3, we do require the 60 college credits, or as Joe was saying, an essay explaining how what's your life experience that makes you, qualified to do so college level work. And it's not because we're trying to keep people out, but the design is a lot of academic aspects to it. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of analysis of information. There's a lot of strategy, and we just find that people that have had some higher education, are more ready to jump into that, because we're not teaching that. We're just assuming that people understand how to do research and can think analytically and strategically, and so that's what we're looking for there.
Yeah, just to add to that quickly. As Lindsay pointed out, most of our cohort is a little bit older, not old, but many of our students have had prior college experience, and many of them have undergraduate degrees. Some of them have masters already. So the cohort you'd be with is probably going to be a pretty consistent peer group. You're not going to have very many people who are fresh out of high school in the CDC program.
That maybe answered the question in the chat, but I'll ask it anyways. Would this program be appropriate for a recent high school graduate?
Well, as I've said, level one, we're opening up to, a wide range of people. And if you were to do, well, if you want to roll directly from level one into level two, if you have a B plus or above in all your level one courses, and you have the college, 60 college credits, you can roll in automatically. If you were to get the B plus in all your courses and you don't have the college credits, I mean, it's not that easy to get a B plus in these courses. They're quite rigorous, and you have to really manage your time carefully, and it's adult ed. So, we're not kind of holding your hand the way you might get as a college freshman. You'll be in with people of various ages and backgrounds. So, I wouldn't rule out for a recent high school grad, but that's not, the typical what we plan our program for. But if you're really interested in this program and you don't have any college background, I would say get in touch with me, email me, and we'll talk about it personally. And see if it's a fit for you, or does it really make more sense for you to, if you want to, do graphic design, for you to get an undergraduate degree.
Alyssa,
Yes.
I think it might be helpful for Laura to maybe, it wasn't Astrid Erickson, a high school graduate that came into the program. She's been reaching out to me lately.
She was not in the program. She just took a couple courses.
Okay.
We've had students who, well, yeah. She's
I think she's doing okay.
Oh, yeah. So there's some students that, as I said, some people could do it. That's why I said, let's talk as individual, talk to you as an individual and see if it's a fit. I don't, obviously we like to get people into the program, but I would not be, a conscientious person if I were to recommend it to someone who I think would be better off, getting going to Bunker Hill and getting an associate's degree, or going to, Mass Art or other college and getting a bachelor's degree. So I'd want to speak to that individual and see if it's a fit.
Alyssa, do you want to put your email address in the chat, or is it Alyssa?
Sure. Oops. More questions?
I could ask like 1,000 questions. Sure. I can keep going. Everybody's here, right? What
Right.
else? I'll keep going. I'm curious. So I didn't go to art school, right? And I think, Lindsay, you talking about the left side, right side of your brain, super interesting. I went to business school, right, for my undergrad. I went to Bentley. I worked in corporate finance for a long time, and I don't do that anymore, right?
Right.
I'm in a creative field and creative industry now. I went and got my master's degree at Emerson. And so I'd done TV commercials for a really long time. And so, design, it's something I've been around for a really long time, but like, poor Professor Alyssa, she knows my skills in Illustrator aren't great, right?
Well, your drawing skills are not the best, but your design skills have been excellent. So that may answer your question.
Well, that's true. I'm definitely not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, digital tools certainly help, right? But I'm curious what everybody thinks like this program. So everybody starts in level one, right? And
Not necessarily. There are people that say they've got a design degree, they got a BA or BS from a college, and they're not. I mean, I would say they're not super skilled or super well, educated. So they've done some work, but they want to skill up. Or there are people that have just been working in design for years and have just learned as they went along, and they want to skill up, but they don't necessarily need to start at level one.
Got it.
By far, the majority of people start at level one. Yeah.
But if you were to go through all three stages, right, all three levels, like if you come out the end of all three levels, having completed the entire thing, what would you equate that like? Is that, I mean, I'm not saying that's like getting an education undergrad at Mass Art, right? But what, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
what
I do know
level
what you're
of
saying.
education would you say, like, wow, he's
I know, it's a good question because, certificates can be everything from like, 4 courses to 12 courses to 8 courses and, they can be anything.
A certificate's like a wide range because, yeah,
Yes.
you see
Right.
people offer
Although degrees are
certificates in a lot of-
too, not every degree is equal, but
Right.
basically the way I see it is, our graduates have to compete for jobs with people that come out of Mass Art with a BFA in communication design or, any other graphic design undergrad program. Plus, people that have master's degrees in communication design or graphic design. So the goal is really to educate people to get the best quality jobs out there, so that you're not, kind of compromised by not having the quality of education that other people have. I mean, undergraduates have a lot of critical studies or humanities or, math, science, whatever. We don't have anything like that. It's mostly like trying to kind of give you a major without the other stuff that you get. But it is fewer credits and fewer courses. So but that's why it's a rigorous, program. But because we've got adult learners, I mean, things can move a lot more quickly. People are very motivated for one thing. You don't have to fool around with trying to get people excited about being there. People are excited to be there, ready to work. But the goal is that students can compete for the best jobs out there, regardless of, they'll have the portfolio that will impress employers.
That was
regardless of what the actual, certificate is.
I think that's a great way to explain it, or at least it clicked with me, right? It's the major without history and science, right? Like I'm getting the education specifically that I want and walk away with the portfolio that you need. And it hopefully costs less than an undergrad degree, right?
Yeah. I mean, Alicia, do you want to talk a little bit? I don't want to. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how you feel about like when you go into interview with a certificate? Has there been any issues about it or?
No, not at all. And I think the thing is too, that is really, really worth driving home is like the fact that the program is so based around you leaving with that portfolio is huge, because with that, like you're doing all these projects where you learn a lot of really valuable paths through design, but then also you do one really important thing is like you learn how to present yourself, because you have to do it, you have intermediate portfolio and final portfolio, and like, it's a lot of pressure, and it's in like a good way, but it is so helpful to have. And I don't know if the structure has changed at all, but when I was in it, you have this big presentation with design professionals, instructors, whoever it may be that is on the panel, and you have to present your work. So it's not only you're learning the work, but you're also learning really valuable skills. I mean, I have coworkers now that don't present that well, and I feel like, I'll be like, put it on full screen. What are you doing? Like, there's certain skills that you're going to learn through the program that are super important and are super helpful with interviewing and presenting your work and everything else. And as far as like a certificate versus a degree, I don't think it matters at all, especially like these days. I did a lot of work while taking the program. I was also doing a lot of technical classes, just like Skillshare or Linda or whatever it may be, to just sort of like make sure all of my technical skills were going to keep up with what I wanted to do in the program. So it's like, it is, like I said before, like you get a lot if you put in a lot, if you're willing to work for it. But I think they really set you up well.
Yeah, if I may just jump in, I mean, I think that one of the key things that I think I got from Mass Art is that, and what I try to instill in students in GD1 is, not so much of when you present your folio, what you did, or it's really about why you did it. So it really does become, really critical of how you present your project. It can be as beautiful, pixel perfect as it is, but if you can't tell the story of why you chose that concept, how that concept is informed by your design decisions, that's what sells to agencies and to clients and to how you're thinking. Like you, I didn't come from an art background. I came from an engineering background. I have my master's in business. And so I had several years of in the industry experience. So it was taking a risk, coming back. But I jumped on the other side of this because I've had that experience, very clear of what I wanted to do and how I was going to sell myself. So the portfolio became the tool, but it really becomes about you and what you bring. And there's going to be a whole aspect that you'll learn as you go through the program. Where you want to go? Do you want to go in-house designer? Do you want to go work for Lindsay? Do you want to start your own freelance? There's so many aspects that doors that can open, at least, what I found. And it really became to like, okay, who I am, how do I position myself? What does my portfolio say about me and what I can bring? And that's all you learn, in addition to all the wonderful technical skills and projects you work on in the program. But you'll get that kind of clarity as you go through the program.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys, for jumping in. Really, really helpful. All right, anything else? Quiet group.
What's it cost?
Joe is the numbers guy.
I mean, right?
I forget what, I think it's about.
It's on the web.
Tell you, it's on the website there.
Oh,
right
okay.
here.
I mean,
Hang on.
it's, it changes, so it's not like something that.
It does change every year
Yeah, it's set, part of it is set by the state, right? State college
a
tuition.
little bit, but there's your tuition information in the chat.
Thank you, Joe.
Right, and as I mentioned, you pay as you go. Some semesters you'll be taking 2 courses, some you'll be
Yep.
taking 1. So you only have to pay for, for the
Yeah, it's not a lump tuition like some colleges where you pay a lump by semester. You pay by
big lump up front.
the amount of credits you take per semester. And most students take 6. Generally, that's about
Our
average.
program is generally, well, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3 credits a semester, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 6. Depends on which semester.
Yep.
Mostly it's 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 6.
I had a question. I was wondering if you would recommend the program for someone that doesn't really know exactly what they would want to do with design, or if it's kind of specifically geared to people that are going in one direction.
No, I would say most people don't know, or sometimes people come in and they think they know, but then they realize there's a lot of other stuff that that they like doing, like they start working on different kinds of projects. We try to give a really well-rounded, it's like half print, half interactive. There's environmental stuff, that takes place, like big things like billboards, or small things like digital media. I think most people, when they first come in, have some sort of idea of what they've seen that got them excited about design. But often that totally changes. And also, it's not a big commitment, like putting up a big amount up front or quitting your job. You can just start with one or 2 courses and kind of see, do you love it? How does it feel? But I'd say, we don't, some programs, by the time you get to the end, you're kind of going in one direction. You're either preparing a portfolio for this type of thing or that. But our goal is that you'll have the experiences in the portfolio to go into any direction you want. And if you don't know it all and you just want to interview with a bunch of places and see what happens, that's fine too. I mean, there's a lot of different areas of design and people don't always stay in the same one where they start. So no, it really isn't necessary to know what you're specifically, want to do design wise.
Thank you.
Alyssa, one other quick question. The course that I'm in right now, is that level 1?
Yes.
So technically I would need 3 more courses. Like I would apply to the program, get accepted, and then I could take 3 more courses to complete level 1, so to speak, right?
Yes. No, you don't even have to do this. That's exactly
it.
what you're going to do. If you apply, yeah, you could take your next course in the summer or in the fall. you know, if you want to know like how that plays out, either way, I can write to me. I'll chart it out for you.
And can you do one at a
yeah.
time? Like, can you just do one in the summer, one in the fall, like, or do you have to take 2 courses? You know?
Well, I mean, there's a program sort of plan
Okay,
that you kind of more or less have to follow. But the program plan starts in the fall. So in your case, since you started in spring, you have a few more choices. Like if someone starts in the fall, it just makes sense to do the first 2 courses then, because then the 3rd course is in January and the 4th course is in the spring, you know. But in your case, since you started in the spring, if you took a course in the summer versus the fall, you really have a choice. Once you get further on and you kind of connect with the people that are following the exact trajectory, then you'll just follow that and you won't have as many options. But right now you have an option to take a course in summer or fall. Yeah.
awesome.
Anything else? Jump in or type into the chat if you'd rather. We got a few minutes left. Anyone have anything else they want to add?
I'm actually just curious, Jonathan, what class are you taking right now?
Foundations of design.
Foundations of graphic design, yes.
Foundations of graphic design.
It's fun, isn't it?
It's the best class. I love it. I think the most challenging aspect for me is I have a full-time job and it's extremely demanding. So, I'm not as quick as I wish I was in some of these programs, so like it, and I'm very dedicated. I really want to take my time to I forget exactly who said it, but like, yeah, it's all about the concept, right? You can be the most proficient, perfect designer, but if you don't have a concept or a reasoning behind your design, and the thing for me is I preach this to the designers that work for me, right? And I'm in that position of like, I want to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So it's important to me that, I worked, like I said before, I worked in video for a really long time, in photography and different types of art and different forms of mediums. And I was very confident I can edit better than most freelance editors, right? So I could do it. When it comes to design, I'm not as confident. So I want to get there as well and be able to design as well as I could describe what I want to see or talk about what I want to see. I want to be able to do it myself. So it's important to me.
Yeah, what most people, I guess there's a lot more to it than software. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people out there that know Adobe software. So how are you going to distinguish yourself? That's your only skill. So, how do you think about what you're going to do? People will say to me, well, I want to make better layouts. I feel like I'm just kind of randomly putting stuff here, there, and everywhere. So, in the course Jonathan's taking, the first course in the program, Foundations of Graphic Design, we talk a lot about composition as well as learning the basic design principles and elements. And then each course, has its own curriculum, and it kind of builds up so that over more and more time, it's kind of like you're working at a job. You're being given the assignment and it's a few weeks to do it, and it's like, do it. But at the beginning, I'm really walking people step by step through the process and all the elements and so on.
A question from the chat. How many students do you allow to attend the graphic design program? Also, I think, are all of the classes online?
All of the courses are online, yes. They all have class meetings, regular live online class meetings. So for example, the course Jonathan is in, Foundations of Graphic Design, meets every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. So it's an online program with synchronous, asynchronous, I forget which is which, with live class meeting. How many students do you allow to attend to the graphic design program? Especially now that we don't need rooms on campus, we don't used to have to fight for, fight for rooms versus the undergrad. Now that we're online, we can take as many students as want to be, in the program. The number of students in one classroom, we keep to a certain level, like, try to keep it to 10. So that, or a few more in some classes, so that everyone gets, good amount of individual time with the instructor each week to look at their work. But we can always, add more sections of a course if we need to. So it's not limited, in other words. If you want to do it, we're happy to have you give it a try. All right, it's 6:59. We got 1 minute left. I feel free to, come up with the question while I'm talking. But I want to thank everyone. Brenna, Jackie, Joe, you guys are awesome. Mass Art staff, Lindsay, Teresita, Alicia, and our panelists that had to, our top speakers who had to leave, Alex and Eric. Thank you guys so much for coming and speaking. Jonathan, thanks for all your questions.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.